What's up, guys? I want to first apologize that I haven't uploaded a video recently. I've got a ton of ideas and I've taken a few clips here and there, but nothing for a full video. I do want to kind of run you through some things that I've got going on today, and this weekend has been very busy, actually. This past week as a whole has been very busy. I've collected a ton of parts over the last week to 10 days. I want to run you through all that and kind of show you what I have in store for the future and kind of my direction on this. I know I've kind of mentioned it before in the other video, but I think it'd be kind of cool to let you guys see everything that I have. I've currently got a cylinder head on the bench for myself and one for a customer. I've got my supercharger that I'm in the middle of porting. And like I said, I want to kind of get you guys up to date. Recently, I've had people ask me about they've noticed that I'm still in my garage and posting pictures of the same old garage. Some of my closer friends and people who know me on Facebook know that I had a job in Richmond, Virginia. This job was at a company called National Speed. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but National Speed is a speed shop of sorts, but it's completely different. In this summer, I filled out an application and they got back with me, and I've been back and forth with them for, the last couple of months, and they offered me the job. I accepted. And over that next 30 to 45 days, I had been looking for housing. I've been, selling all kinds of things, getting my house ready and getting ready to make the move. I was 100% on board, and unfortunately, I wasn't aware of how expensive it was to live there. I had 5 or 6 properties that I were interested in, and they told me that it was okay that I continue to port, and I never wanted to give up on that. It's something that I really enjoy, and it's good for the community, I think, and that's why I do it. But I didn't want to leave that behind. Luckily, they said that I was okay. So I was looking for a place with a garage and a shed. I've got 3 cars, and I started looking at what my options were and quickly found out that there weren't many things in my budget to keep all of those things that I needed. So unfortunately, I had to decline on moving out there. And it was something that it was very difficult for me to do. That was a very difficult decision. And quite frankly, I was embarrassed. I haven't said this publicly yet. Some of my close friends know this and family, obviously. But on top of that, coming home after making the trip out there to look at these properties that were not anywhere near what I thought they were in pictures. I visited my grandmother, who has been battling cancer. And I guess I just didn't realize how bad it was. I try to see her as often as I can, but with everything going on, it's tough to do. So after taking a lot of thought on it, I decided that the move just wasn't for me. And if I'm going to stay here, I wanted to make the best of it, which is why I started this channel and why I'm hitting, Category V Portworx even more than ever. So that's a little bit backstory on that, and I'm going to run you guys through the what I have going on currently. So let's go. Yesterday, I spent a bunch of time in the garage cleaning everything up and getting it more presentable for you guys. And like I said, there was a lot of loose ends from deciding to move, and everything was just a ray. So spent a few hours yesterday cleaning up and getting more organized now that I'm going to stay. Like I said, I scored a ton of parts lately, and so yesterday I was able to get this stage 3 heat exchanger, which I'm going to need if I'm going to start dropping pulleys and whatnot. I already had these 42 GM injectors. Taylor Lear was nice enough to give me those. Big shout out to him. Got a couple of spare gaskets, got a wideband that I want to do a video on, show you guys how to wire that in. I have this interceptor, but I think that there was something wrong with the display, which is kind of common when they start seeing, heat and cold. And So I'll have to look at that, but I'm pretty sure that that needs a new screen. So yesterday I got a few different pulleys. I've got a 2.7, a 2.8, a 3.0, and a 2.6. Maybe if I come across another, the ones in between that, I guess a 2.9, I'll, test that too. Got a cheap little boost gauge. I don't really care too much about what that is because I can read it off the map sensor up to a certain point. So that's not really a big deal, but I want it for testing. I got this LS4 throttle body, which I believe is key to actually making power on a blower car. I've got a set of 80s for when I go E85, and the necessary harness for that. This is actually Jason Widowson's TVS that he just bought. He sent it to me to get some bearings put in it, so I'll probably do a video on that in the future. Maybe he can come out and we can kind of do a joint video together. I got this M62, which I might actually try to incorporate into this. We'll see what happens, but I didn't really have any need for it, but it was a good deal, so I couldn't pass it up. So maybe I'll port that and raffle it off to you guys as a thank you and everything for the support. I have this ZZP spacer plate that goes underneath the supercharger. I think that might be a nice little addition. I've never tested that for myself, so I bought that and figured I'd give it a shot. I actually kind of thought that it was going to be thicker than this, but my worry is if I were to make my own, if it was thicker, I'd run into belt issues and clearance, especially with the upper radiator hose and whatnot. So I guess it's kind of a good thing it's not that thick, but we'll see how big of a difference it makes. I am going to be making my own intake, and I've got a cool little project going on with that. It's going to be neat, and I can't wait to show you guys what that is. I'm just not ready for that yet. And while I was out at Tyler's house checking out his car, I picked up HP tuners, so I'll be able to tune that. I've got a couple of math pads that I'm going to use for the intake. And here's a cool little tip that I did not know. I asked Alan at ZZP about this. If you guys have ever had a mass airflow sensor issue with your Redline, then you know just how expensive these things are. If I recall, an OEM replacement is like $180. I started looking on ZZP's website, and they have the Cobalt, I think they call this the credit card style mass airflow sensor, which is probably really easy to find locally. But these are like $50. So, $50 versus $180, I think it's a no-brainer. Alan told me that actually to run this, there's nothing specific that you have to do. You just have to, have the associated mass airflow sensor pad, because obviously that won't work. So that's a cool little bit of information that I just learned yesterday. So I have a set of ZZP Stage 1 cams. I have a set of ZZP Stage 3 cams. Both of these are set up for a supercharged car. I'm still on the lookout for a set of Stage 2s. I'd like to kind of test those too. And maybe when I'm done with all this stuff, like I said, I want to, raffle it off or whatever, just so I can kind of recoup some of that money and give back to you guys. So I've got a set of GM adjustable cam gears. I've had those for a while. And anytime you start putting aftermarket camshafts, you really should degree the cams. I'm going to do that. I haven't done it on an Ecotec, but I plan to learn and show you guys how to do that. I've done it on some, small block stuff, some cam in block type things. A couple of weeks ago, I bought a spare block. I got 2 cylinder heads, some GM neutral balance shafts, and in one of the cylinder heads were actually the Supertech valve springs. The retainers are pretty beat up, but I'm going to probably get a new set of those if I can. I'm going to put those in the ported head when I do so. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm gearing up to do, and there's going to be a lot of good content here. It's just a matter of getting things rolling, waiting on a few key parts, and after that, I will be ready to start doing these things. I'll probably do the wideband first, so I could kind of log the AFRs and make sure that this thing is safe. So you might have seen in the corner here this little Honda head. This is a friend of mine. He is building a turbo Prelude, which is a 90 or 91, I believe. He brought it to me, and he actually had the engine sitting here in the corner for a while, but he wants the head taken apart and checked, and we're going to go through that and probably make a video of it. I'm going to install these Supertech valve springs, or maybe even let the machine shop do that whenever they resurface it and do the valve job and everything. So got a bunch of new Honda valve seals, which are one of those things that you really want to replace whenever you take a cylinder head apart. Even if it's put together not too long ago, it's cheap insurance, and why not? So that is all that I have to show you today, but I'm super excited for this. I cannot wait to get started. Actually found a daily driver, so now that I can get this thing torn apart and start working on it, I don't have to worry about putting it back together just to get it back on the road, and all those little things that go with it. And the snow is starting to fly here in Ohio, so I found a winter beater for a couple $100. So that'll get me through, and like I said, let me have time to focus on this, and give me a little bit more free time. So as always, I appreciate you guys' support, and stay tuned for the next one.